I've been playing Forza Horizon 6
What?
and shock and horror, it is good. It is a good one of these in probably the best setting the series has seen thus far. So it took them 6 attempts, but they finally got the festival over to Japan.
Nice.
And as you might imagine, Japan is just an absolute joy for racing. It has such a strong racing culture and heritage even before you start adding in like Forza Horizon into the mix. And I think based off all the pre-release stuff we saw where Playground Games was talking a lot about how they're going to really use the setting to its fullest and really expose a lot of the not only Japanese culture but their specific car culture and inject that like into the game. I think they've done a really, really good job of that. I'm not an expert on that sort of thing, and this is why the studio probably hired a bunch of people who were experts to get this right. But even without that context, you can feel there's a reverence and a level of care that they've given this this setting than I think anyone before it, because the settings beforehand have been really fun to race in and very interesting visually. Like Mexico was full of color and had lots of these like open areas and dense jungles, and the British and Scottish one in Forza Horizon 4 was like the countryside in England. But none of those had the sort of racing prestige that Japan has, or the sort of like interest that I think Japan holds in a lot of people's heads, in modern times. So it's really cool to have this space to explore and digitally experience a region that I think a lot of people want to travel in or travel to already, and then do it through the lens of like a Forza Horizon, which is just still to me like the pinnacle of open world racing. Now there is no other game on the market like it, and Playground Games keeps delivering these every couple of years and keep pushing the bar up, and you will not find this sort of racing game anymore anywhere else, which is kind of weird considering how prominent they used to be. But it's really cool that Playground Games can still deliver these feeling like fresh and new and still interesting 6 entries in. I think the big changes here, we discussed it when I played it for a preview a while back, but big change here is to progression specifically, where you start off with some lower tier cars, you enter events to kind of work your way up through the festival. You're no longer like, in previous games, they would call you like a legend of the festival. You were already an established racer. Yeah, it was weird. You were already an established racer, a renowned one that was just joining the festival. Here you are kind of like someone who has to qualify for it in the first place. Story isn't like a really big focus for these games, and they try and pepper some in here, but it's really not that interesting. I think what's more interesting is just how they manage the progression around it. Like you are slowly working your way up from like D and C series cars to like B, A, and eventually like your supercars, which feels a lot more natural than being able to jump to that upper echelon immediately from the get-go previously. You still unlock cars that are pretty fast and really racy early on, but the events you have are limited to slower, more common ones until you like kind of get up there. The events themselves are kind of straightforward. I think this is where Forza Horizon feels the most like other entries, where you're doing a lot of sprints, you're doing a few track races here or there. There's different types of events like off-road, road racing, cross-country, lots of those things that just force you to use different types of vehicles and different specs of vehicles. And that's like, if you've played a Forza Horizon, you know what those are. Like, you know what these race types are and you know what they're about. But they're still pretty fun and exhilarating. I wish there were more lap-based events. Like, I like tracks where it's like you're doing 2 to 3 laps and learning each lap where to do a bit better. A lot of these races are more like sprint events where you start in one place and end at another, which is fine. It's more a personal preference. I just like more track-based things, and I think there's probably less here than in previous games, which I find a bit strange. But it is the setting that does a lot of the heavy lifting. Like, there's so much variety between all of these different like distinct biomes. You've got the Japanese Alps to the north, where there are these massive like snowy mountain passes, and very little traffic. You've got Tokyo City, which is like the biggest urban area the series has ever seen. So loads and like twisty avenues. It's much wider roads than what you'd find in real life, but obviously they have to make it still somewhat raceable to a certain degree. But you'll still come across like highlights like Shibuya Crossing. There's an avenue that I didn't know about called Jinko Avenue, which is like 3 or 4 kilometers of like just trees across, well, like on either side of the road, and those trees like change color according to the season, so that's really cool. You've got the like massive highway expresses that go across Tokyo City. You've got some pretty classic racetracks that are featured around, like littered around the map. You got these mountain drift passes. I think I read that one of them is a semi-recreation of a real mountain pass, but also one that was featured in the anime Initial D. So it's like, smashing all these cool little touchstones that people have for the region together, and bringing, in racing influences from all over. So I think it's like a cool amalgamation of all these different parts of Japan, and it gives you like a tasting plates of all the different types of regions and pieces of culture you get to explore. And on top of it, there's these cool like side activities. I think this is probably one of my favorite bits, or like unique aspects to this entry. Is there's this side activity called, I think it's called Explore Japan. I've played a few of them, but the first ones took place in Tokyo City, and you were basically part of like a convoy of tourists. And you're being like guided through Tokyo and being fed like information about the city and landmarks you were passing. That's where I saw this like avenue with all the trees, and just like how things have changed over the years and how car culture specifically is integrated into that. Like the car I was driving around in during this like guided tour was one of the first Honda Civic sport cars ever made in the 1970s. Really cool. And then you get to the end of it and it's like, okay, so you enjoyed that. What if we put you in the most recent Honda Civic and you now race backwards through the route we just took, just to give you like a cool look at the difference and how like much like that car model alone has progressed over time. And that's just such a cool way to explore this fictional like recreation of Japan, to get a taste of some of the most iconic cars that have come out of Japanese manufacturers, and then also just have fun, at the same time. It's those like little touches that I think Playground Games has really leaned into the setting, because none of that was ever present in the previous ones. They were more just like sandboxes to play around with. This is very much like Japan is a character in this game. It's not just a space to explore. It's really good. I have a lot more to play. A lot more, like, I want to see all of the seasons. I haven't seen them all. There's a lot of like player created stuff that's going to come out when the game launches eventually, like to the wider audience. There's loads of customization that I haven't touched, like car customization. You have this area called the estate, which allows you to like edit houses and your garages and your places you can display your cars and all of this. There's just a lot of content here, and that's always been the case with these games, but it's just fun to just race around or explore the open world just for a few minutes. There's always something to do around the corner, and a lot of it is just always really fun. So I'm having a great time.
Yeah, I can't wait to play it. I've got a far shorter history with Forza than you do, because the first one I played was Forza Horizon 5. Yeah, not for any reason other than I just really didn't pay much attention to the franchise. But to go back to what you said about Japan, it's one of those interesting things where like the previous Forzas have been in places that predominantly like Western culture, so it's pretty normal for you and I. Like there's enough overlap in like our day-to-day lives and what we've seen on TV or whatever, whereas Tokyo and Japan and those surrounding areas, it's completely unique. Like I think Japan as a destination is a dream for a lot of people. One day I want to go to Japan. I want to go explore that, and I think it's a completely different kind of culture and architecture and all of that. So I think it's very cool that Playground Games lent into that, because I think a lot of players are that. It's like I want to drive around and just feel that culture. I want to see the locations and see how pretty it is. So from what you've said, it sounds like they've really hit the nail on the head there. And what's cool is that they've included those neat little bits like that Honda Civic Tour, because that's unique to that to Japan, that country. So,
yeah, exactly that. It's like I want to visit the country myself relatively soon, and this is just like whet that appetite a bit more.
Like,
it's
we're
like frothing
going
now
tomorrow.
to go there. Yeah, it's really cool, and I do appreciate that they're able to lean into, you know, one of the biggest car manufacturers in the world. You know, you've got Nissan, Toyota, Honda, all of these massive manufacturers now represented by one region.
Yeah.
And that was the case for, you know, the European-based entries in Forza, but it just feels different here. There's a lot more focus on them in a way that I think hasn't been in the past. So it's definitely cool, and I think there's like things that I haven't seen yet that I think are going to like feed into this idea even more. So I'm excited to like explore them.
Yeah, and to go back to what you said earlier, I'm with you in terms of progression, where I think the fact that previous entries have been this thing, I mean, that is one of my biggest sore points with Forza Horizon 5 being my first game, was you jump to the game, you do a race, it's like, cool, you can choose from any of these three cars, and like one of them's a Lamborghini, for example. And I was a bit taken aback, going, that's a very fast car. I come from the Gran Turismo era, where you've got to build your way up to get these super fast cars. You've got to earn the speed and the very nice supercars, whatever. So I welcome that change. I'm very excited to see how that plays out, where you've got to, you know, work your way up the ranks, whatever.
Yeah.
And then
I think it's a middle ground between like Horizon 5 and like Gran Turismo. I mean, it reminds me of the old like Need for Speed games. You'd start with a pretty base level car and work it up. It's not like licenses by any means, but it is that like semi-linear progression upwards, and it feels more rewarding to eventually purchase and get to race faster cars, even though you might have access to them earlier on for like the open world. Being forced to use a wider breadth of cars rather than just having all of the races tuned for the very few that are very fast and very like punchy to drive. It forces you to explore out of that comfort zone and actually drive things that you otherwise probably wouldn't have picked because they're not as flashy or not as interesting, and you'll be surprised at how fun those are to drive as well.
Yeah, and on that, you also mentioned, so I'm just touching on all the points you went over. You mentioned sprints, and again, I agree with you where I don't hate sprints, don't get me wrong, but I also would welcome more circuits. You know, even if it is just, okay, cool, this circuit's just in the middle of the city, and it is just you doing a couple laps, because there's something nice about learning a track and going, okay, cool, now I'm going to see how much faster I can do this lap. I know these are how the corners are going to go. I know there's a straight. Whereas a sprint, it feels that's kind of lost. I mean, how often do you repeat tracks in Forza across like the whole franchise? Often you'll do the race and then move on to the next story beats, whatever. I don't find myself personally coming back to any of the previous races. I'm like, it's sort of one and done. I've ticked it off. So I can't tell you, oh, my favorite track was this one, because a lot of it is just sprinting from A to B, and they're all so different.
Yeah. And especially so when you don't need to place first on all of these events to progress. It's more just like an experience thing. So my incentive to go back and play a lot of these sprints is like really low, because, you know, I finished the event. I could probably go back and get a first, but it's like, I don't really feel like learning that layout, or not even learning that layout, but racing this thing again that I don't have the opportunity to learn multiple times during one event. Whereas, like you said, lap-based things, like every single lap is a learning opportunity. There was actually a very early on, I did it in the preview as well. There's an event it navigates you to, which is like one of their dynamic world events. It's like this small track where as soon as you enter it, you start like a time attack mode, and like you basically just do laps, and like all you're trying to do is get faster and faster and faster in each laps, and you can stop and drive away at any point, and then, you know, it kind of like lets you do that. But I found myself doing this, it must have been like an hour. I was just doing lap after lap after lap, and like shaving a few seconds off here, a few, you know, hundredths of a second off here and there. And that's what I miss from a lot of the like main campaign events is
Yeah.
this need to get better with every single lap, because those aren't the sorts of events that it showcases there. But there are ways to have that experience outside of the campaign, for the most part.
No, for sure. Yeah, I can't wait to play the game. I can't say racing games are my favorite genre, but I will make time for Forza Horizon after having played and loving the fifth one. So yeah,
I think that's where they hit the sweet spot. Is it attracts so many people who aren't like massive racing fans either, because it is just the space to explore this cool world and also have a pretty laid back approach to driving and get to drive hundreds of different cars. And then you also have this portion of it where you can make it a bit more simulation feeling, you can make it a bit more challenging, and you have a level of authenticity that people who are into cars will notice and appreciate. And it doesn't compromise on either of those at any point. So it really does meet you on your terms based on what you're coming to it with, but at the same time over delivers for every type of fan that's coming to it, which I think is, again, there isn't a racing game out there that manages to have this wide reach and deliver on all fronts.
When did Forza Horizon 5 come out? Was it 2021, 2022? Was it not that long ago?
I think it was 21. Let me double check.
A couple years ago.
Well, it only came out on PlayStation 5 last year. And then was like one of
Xbox fans.
one of the highest selling games on PlayStation at all last year. 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean it's a good 5 years.
Yeah, it was end of 2021, so yeah, I would say like 5 years.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, one of these every 5 years, that's immense. Like, these games are big, and they support them as well. Like, there were 2 big expansions for Forza Horizon 5.
Yeah.
Added whole new sections of the map, whole new areas, and they'll probably do the same here. So it's not like you play what this is today and it doesn't evolve. This is, it is a live game to an extent. It is constantly evolving and things are being added. So yeah.
Oh,
it's good. It's real good.
And
I'm keen to see your drivatar in the game.
Yeah.
Running off the road.
Who's that dickhead? Oh, of course it's Matthew.
I actually love that feature. I've already seen like friends who I'm pretty sure have access to the review copy as well, like popping up in the game, and it's nice. It's a cool feeling. Feels like you are playing with other people, which is neat.
Yeah. I don't know the game well enough to know how multiplayer has evolved. For example, if you now want to play together, is it a thing of cool, we can just load into the same open world, or is it like no, we have to only join the same event, for example? Like I don't know if you know.
It's a good question. I've never really played a lot of like strict multiplayer with Forza Horizon. It's usually just been like the passive way of playing with other like drivers' data. I do know on all the events I've chosen, it's like you can play this solo, or you can play this in co-op, which I'm not entirely sure how that works. So I assume you have the ability to join like a shared session where you're both in the same world at the same time, but you can take events on at the same time. Yeah. Okay. I don't think... I actually wonder. I wonder if it's a thing where it's like, oh, I can just roll up next to you in the open world and like we're playing in the same shared world. I'm not sure.
Because I seem to recall one of my mates, Brad, he loves Forza. And I remember during Forza Horizon 5 days, he was like my one mate, like, cool, we need to do some races again. It's not crystal clear to me, but I seem to recall like not being a thing where we couldn't drive in the open world together. It was a thing of, no, we have to kind of join the same events or races, whatever. But I don't know. Don't quote us on it, whatever.
That sounds to me like what it would be. It's not like a massive multiplayer online thing. It is more event.
We're going to go raid now. We're going to go do the boss.
I'll see you in Tokyo.
Cool, yeah, very keen to play that.
It's good. I'm keen to hear your thoughts on it because I think it is one of the best ones of this, which is challenging because all of them just end up like
so good,
outdoing the previous one. So yeah.